Satchats, the Bitcoin podcast where we... Wait. Welcome to Satchats Live. There we go.
Yeah.
Bitcoin podcast where we chat about sats. Live with our boy Richard Puente.
Number one in the slot today.
My guy is early for once. LFG, family friendly. Can't spell that one out. Satchats is the Bitcoin podcast where we chat about sats. Sats are the smallest part of a Bitcoin, the same way pennies are the smallest part of a dollar. With Satchats Live, we are building the world's biggest Bitcoin welcome center to serve as your gateway to generational wealth. So if you're brand on a mignon,
Jeez.
Come on now. Then you can hop in the chat live with us. Dude, I've been silly. Let me finish this intro, though. I'll be your host, Stuart Bitcoin Maxey, who wears prescription sunglasses to protect you and your loved ones, your little bitty loved ones, from my Bitcoin laser eyes.
You're going to need to speed that up next time.
You'll hear, dude. I've been in a silly mood, and I'm loving it.
All right. Well, I'm your co-host, Chris, founder and CEO of Ithaca Hummus, resident smash buyer when my wife lets me. We're giving away 10 million sats, just like our YouTube channel. Is that subscribe it? You got to subscribe.
You got to subscribe.
You got to subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you are one of the first 100,000 subscribers, you're automatically entered to win 10 million sats.
Yes.
It's over $10,000 value.
10,000 dwellers.
As of today. And welcome to the live show. We're here.
Yeah, and by the way, those Hundo K, they ain't gonna last for long, man. So Jeff Booth, number 62, he got us onto Nostr.
Right, yeah.
Nostr is like Twitter before it got too crazy, I guess. I don't know. I'm not on Twitter, so I can't say.
It's more than that, though.
But it's like a nice little community of people.
Okay, from that perspective, yeah.
And so, like, you know, I can speak directly to some of these, like, big names in Bitcoin. But there's also just a bunch of people on there who love Bitcoin. And I went on there and said, listen, everybody, we're giving away 10 million sats when we reach 100,000 YouTube subscribers. I need all my Bitcoiners to help me spread that word. And people have been taking it and running with it, liking it, sharing it, reposting it, and then replying to it and just being like, they're like tagging like 20 people.
Ooh.
Like multiple people are just like tagging everyone they know, and they're like, dude. Because Bitcoiners understand how much 10 million sats actually is.
Yeah.
Right? And they know how much it's worth now, which is over $10,000. But they know what it's really worth, which is, well, 10 million sats is worth 10 million sats. And the real world purchasing power of that is just going to go up and up and up. So like Chris said, welcome to the show. Today's topic is the Tooth Fairy a Bitcoiner?
What?
I want you all to tell me if you think the Tooth Fairy is a Bitcoiner. Because I spent my whole life getting melting ice cubes from the Tooth Fairy, okay? Big reveal, the Tooth Fairy has been paying me in a worthless form of money my whole life, okay? Now, let's see what Richard says here. Watching Sailor this morning, quote, no force on earth can stop an idea whose time has come. Woo!
Dude always spitting hot fire.
Richard is, dude, when you want to get pumped up, you go watch Michael Saylor.
Yeah.
He's very intellectual, and I think he has like an engineering aspect, and he makes me feel like Bitcoin is like this mechanized engine that's just going to like take over the world, you know? And other people have different takes, but Michael Saylor gets me real boosted up.
Same.
So why is today's topic, is a Tooth Fairy a Bitcoiner? Well, let's jump right into our stories segment. And eventually Jeremy's going to have like cool transitions for us where like, you know, you get like a little story time, right?
Yeah. I'm just trying to take a page out of
about that.
Well, I mean, he's got segments on his show. the idea is who wants to be a satillionaire? Like the old what was that dude who did that?
Was it like Regis Philbin?
Yeah, Regis.
Regis.
So who's gonna be Regis?
I'm gonna let you rip on that.
All right.
We need to get you, some juice.
I need a segment. I need to own a segment.
Oh.
And that's the other benefit of segments. But the point of the story was we were about to go live and we were talking about who wants to be a satillionaire, the idea, and I was like, well, we got to call it a segment.
Yeah.
We got to call it a segment. Just
dude.
Taking a page out of the books of
segmentate.
Yeah, you got a segment. Now, let's hear. So it sounds like you've got a segment that you're going to drive into. Okay.
Yeah.
Stories.
So I think
I love that.
We're about stories here on the show.
Yeah, I love it.
So the reason why I asked, is the Tooth Fairy a Bitcoiner? Yesterday, okay, my son was chomping on some woven wheat. Got a particularly tough piece of woven wheat. Bam, tooth comes loose. Okay.
Any hummus with that?
Yeah. So we're going to the pool. 100%, dude. Hundo P. Hey, Jeremy, did I have hummus at the pool the other day? Yeah, I did. Okay. So we're putting together like pool dinners.
Didn't you blend them too?
What's that?
Didn't you blend the flavors?
Whoa. Let me reveal on that real quick, dude.
Oh,
Let me reveal on that, okay? Because Chris doesn't know I've reached the next level of Ithaca hummus. I don't even know if he's reached the next level of Ithaca hummus, okay? So we're putting together pool dinners so that we can just go to the pool, swim, eat dinner, and then just go home and get ready for bed, right? So we've got these little trays, and in the center, hummus. So we got carrots, we got cucumbers, all that stuff, and we're dipping on Ithaca hummus. But the next level, by the way, I've been taking 2 different flavors and mixing them up, dude. So I took some Everything Bagel Ithaca. I did half Everything Bagel, half classic. Pop it in there. A little bit different, right? Mix up the jalapeno with the black bean. How do you feel about me mixing and matching on the flavors?
I'm fine with it. We actually mixed our salsa with classic hummus at the office one time.
Oh.
It was delicious.
Oh, dang.
Delicious.
Hummus into salsa.
Yeah.
Wow. So I'm going to try that.
Yeah.
So Lion ripped on some woven wheat and his tooth came loose. And when his teeth comes loose, he like attacks it. He's like, he's not okay for it to like just get loose over time. He goes insane on it. So he popped it out pretty quickly. And of course, you and I went to our thing on Thursday nights. And when I come home, he has written a note to the Tooth Fairy. Now, Jared, can you show me not the inside, but the outside? The outside of his note to the Tooth Fairy, where he's written some stuff on the outside of the letter, and then there's some stuff on the inside. So let's see if we can pull up what he wrote, because it is amazing, and it got me thinking. We definitely want to be helping every single person, stack sats and come to understand stacking. Oh, really? Okay, well, I'll describe the outside to you. I sent both, but the outside is he's got he's drawn some Bitcoin on it, and he said, I mined the tooth coin.
Wow.
Yeah, I mined the tooth coin, and then where's my block reward?
Jeez.
Yeah. So open up, show us the interior of it, Jer, if you have that one handy.
So it said, I mined my tooth for you. Where's my block reward?
Yeah, so here's the inside, okay? Now you see there's a big USB key with a Bitcoin on it that he has drawn.
Wow.
And it says, that BTC is a better money than USD. I'm just saying. And then down here, you can see in the blue, he's taped his tooth to the inside, and it says, proof of work.
Sheesh.
Yeah, proof of work, dude. Have you ever seen any child frame up their Tooth Fairy sequence in Bitcoin terms?
No. He's probably the first.
So I love, by the way, that the tooth is his proof of work.
Yeah.
I think that is freaking amazing.
Yeah.
So this morning when he woke up, the note was gone, okay? I managed to snap a photo of it before it was magically by the Tooth Fairy, but there was no money under his pillow. So he woke up,
Yeah.
he came out, got some breakfast, and he was like, hey, the note's gone, but there's no money. He was like, do you think that the Tooth Fairy paid me in Bitcoin? I said, okay, well, let's check your wallet, man. So he went over to my computer, pulled up the wallet, got logged in. Sure enough, last night on the blockchain, 10:14 p.m., 2,854 Satoshis.
Whoa.
For Lion. So the answer to the question, is the Tooth Fairy a Bitcoiner? The Tooth Fairy is a Bitcoiner. And the Tooth Fairy is goated, right? The Tooth Fairy is a goated Bitcoiner. We looked up how much that was worth. It was worth $3.03.
Dang.
So he typically, he's been, they get paid $3 a tooth.
$3 a tooth? Okay.
And for a while, they thought it was me who was paying them. And then I pointed out that not only did I only get paid a quarter, okay? Which, by the way, the poor Tooth Fairy is having to deal with the fact that she's paying everyone in a form of money that's getting worse and worse over time.
Yeah.
She used to only have to pay 25 cents for a tooth. Now it's $3. I hear some houses going $5, whatever.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And they were like, we know it's you, Dad. And I was like, why would I pay $3 for a bloody old tooth that came out of your face? Do you really think that's me?
Yeah.
You would have to be insane. And even if it were me, I would never pay $3.
Yeah.
But the Tooth Fairy's ripping.
Yeah.
But what was really cool is between when the Tooth Fairy paid Lion sats for his tooth and when he checked it, it had already gone up in value.
Dang.
Yeah, it wasn't $3. It was $3.03.
Whoa.
I was like, dude, how do you feel about that? He was super pumped.
Yeah.
He was super pumped. Lion is like really focused on stacking sats.
Yeah, he is.
Without paying for them. So he got almost 3,000 sats from the Tooth Fairy. I got another story to tell you. He went over to my dad's house. So number 18 dad,
Yeah.
who he calls Uki, which is basically Finnish for granddad.
Okay.
UKKI.
All right.
And he spent 2 days helping Uki open the pool.
Okay.
Right? So pull back the tarp, like turn on the circulation, test it. They had to go to the pool store to get certain things to pop in there. And when they were done, Dad paid Lion 10,000 sats. And they both felt like that was an absolutely huge amount of money. BTC Moon Guy, what's going on, brother? Look at this guy, 0.000000001 Bitcoin chats. Let's go, right? The long form name for satchats is 0.000000001 Bitcoin
That's
chats.
right. That's
I like
right.
that.
Yeah.
And maybe that would be 0.000000001 Bitcoin conversations. Lengthen out the chats as well.
Ah, yeah.
We'll come in here with like our monocles on, and we'll have that. We'll have that format.
Yeah.
Number 44, Evan, what's going on, brother? It's good to see you this morning, man. Happy Friday. So they both felt like 10,000 sats was a massive amount of money, but when they went to transfer it, it was about $10, right? And the following day, my dad was like, you know what? I feel like you did more work than that, and he sent him another 15,000 sats. So Lion got 25,000 sats. And by the way, if you guys remember from his episode, God, what episode was Lion? I think he's number 37.
Pretty sure you're right.
He took like a windfall from a report card payout plus some chore money, and he bought like $50 worth of Bitcoin. And he hasn't bought any Bitcoin since, but he got Bitcoin for coming on this show. Uki has paid him 50,000 sats for chores around the house. He just got 3,000 from the Tooth Fairy. So he's up to like 175,000 sats.
Wow.
And his $50 is now like almost $200.
Really?
Because he only paid 50 for his initial, and the rest he's earned in one way or another.
Wow, okay.
So it's not like his 50 has appreciated to 200, but he's been stacking sats from all these different locations.
Right.
And I love it, man. It warms my heart. It makes me feel like by the time Lion's a teenager and a college kid, he's going to graduate with like a nice, solid base.
I mean, I feel like he's developing sound habits and a good quality relationship with money.
Yes.
I mean, there's no doubt.
Yes, because he's always
value.
been interested in money and financial games. He likes that cash flow. He likes Monopoly. We played 2 super old games. One of them was called Stocks and Bonds, and it was like fully 50 years old and out of print. Another one was called like Acquire, and it was like a grid where you like acquire hotel chains and merge them. Also, it was insane. So he loves all that. But how bad would it be to grow up locking into the wrong form of money?
Yeah.
Right? Like he's locking into the correct form of money.
Yeah.
My cost basis, or my average exchange rate, you might say, for Bitcoin these days is at right around $70,000.
Mm-hmm.
His is under $20,000.
Is it really? Oh, well,
because he's only bought 50, but he's earned another $125 worth. So if you say, well, how much did you spend for the amount of Bitcoin you have? His cost basis is like below $20,000, dude. He's crushing it.
Do you think he should get on Nostr?
I don't know if Lion should be given absolutely unfettered, censorship-resistant access to the internet, because that guy will say some of the most insane things possible.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So those were some stories about my son, and also I talked to my dad, because my dad felt bad that he had underpaid Lion for his 2 days worth of work and wanted to true up on that, which I thought was great. Right? He cleaned up his side of the street.
Yeah.
But I also said, look, it warms my heart that my dad and my son are spending time together. I love that you two are exploring a new form of money together. You both love money. You both love financial games. You're both geared in that way, kind of resource conscious people.
Right.
And I love that you two are trying to figure out not like how much dollars are your chores worth and let's give you that much Bitcoin. They're really exploring how much Bitcoin was that chore worth, right? They're starting to think in terms of Bitcoin. And I would ask the chat here, how many of you all are still thinking in terms of dollars, and how many of you are now thinking like in terms of Bitcoin, right? Because I still go through the mental process sometimes of like, okay, this coffee's $7, that's 7,000 sats, how do I feel about that? And funnily enough, when I think about coffee in terms of $7, I'm like, whatever, $7, because everything's getting more expensive all the time. But when I think about it being 7,000 sats, and the fact that one day that will be worth $7,000, and I'm going to drop 7,000 future dollars on a coffee, it makes my French press at home look a lot better.
Yeah.
And it gives me, and like with lunch too, like we're going to go have lunch with our wives after that. I'm going to spend 40,000 sats on lunch for me and my wife, because it's like $40 to get out of Sola Coffee Cafe with 2 lunches and 1 coffee.
Dude, I just got back from Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
I don't even want to tell you how many sats I dropped on 4 days. But you know what? I had an amazing experience with my family, with my kids, that we're never going to forget. We took tons of pictures. Like, they had a blast. So, I'm not that's not true. Like, there were definitely moments where I was like, man, how much Bitcoin could I be buying with the amount of money that we spent today?
Family memories, though, I value above Bitcoin.
Yeah.
That one, I'm good.
Yeah.
If you can, if you have a memory for me, we're there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's part of the reason why the Walt Disney Company has 5-figure, like I would say mid to high 5 figures from me at this point, maybe even verging on 6 over the past 10 years, because I go to those parks and they just bless us up with incredible memories that are, some of them I don't even know how they were able to create. So I'm like, give me the memories, you know what I mean? Because that's what I can remember.
Yeah.
That's what I love. So let's see here. BTC Moon Guy, I bought my nephew 1 Bitcoin when he turned 1 year old. He's almost 12 now. Holy smokes.
Legend.
Now, BTC Moon Guy, if you're actually number 27, well, Adam doesn't have no, he has a nephew. If you are number 27, Adam, tell us. Because if you guys have seen number 27 Adam's episode, he gives Bitcoin as gifts, right? Like when he goes to his nephew's birthday party, he's like, here's a quarter Bitcoin, right? And like I think his godson, he dropped a Bitcoin on his godson. And now that his godson is a teenager, his godson's parents, who are number 27 Adam's friends, are like, hey,
How do I get access to this?
because we want to pay off our mortgage.
Yeah.
We want to pay off our mortgage. Okay, BTC Moon Guy is not number 27 Adam. You should watch have you seen number 27 Adam's episode, Moon Guy? Tell us in the chat. Because his friends are like, we want to pay off our mortgage with this. And he's like, no, dude, that's your son's Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Okay? And you need the keys.
Yeah.
Right? You can't they're trying to be like the Goo Baron Mont, dude.
Yeah.
They're trying to seize their kid's asset.
Yeah.
And number 27 Adam is like, yo, that's your son's Bitcoin. And when he gets to be 18, if he wants to pay off your mortgage for you, he can do that. But that's his Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So when going back to that idea of, are you still thinking in terms of money or are you still thinking in terms of Bitcoin? When it's almost like when I'm feeling lazy and I just want to go out and eat, even though I have food in the fridge, pricing it in dollars doesn't stop me from going and making that purchase. And I go over budget for that week and it turns into a mess. But stopping and saying, okay, do I really want to hand over 40,000 Satoshis for a quick meal that isn't even going to be that good? I'm like, dude, I'm just going to scrounge around in the fridge.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's see here. Richard wants to know who stacked some sats this week. Got my weekly recurring buy set up. Richard, tell us which exchange you're doing your weekly recurring buy. Have you stacked any sats this week, Chris?
Me? No.
Does Chris really stack sats or does he smash Bitcoin?
I just smash Bitcoin. I'm still stacking sats.
Uh-huh.
I just don't dollar cost average every week.
Right.
I haven't bought Bitcoin in a few, probably maybe 6 weeks.
That would drive me insane.
Yeah.
That would drive me insane because for me, the pressure builds up.
Yeah.
And then knowing that the weekly recurring buy is there helps to give me the relief of, okay, I'm still in it, right? Like,
yeah.
I don't think I could smash buy Bitcoin because I would get restless. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't be able to deal with the time between smashes. So I've got my automatic weekly recurring buy set up on Bitcoin Well. And by the way, if Senor Gringo is out there, I know he watches a lot of Simply Bitcoin, and they're sponsored by Bitcoin Well. And the CEO, Adam, sometimes co-hosts that show. And he also does YouTube shorts for them sometimes.
Does he?
He's going to come on the show, the CEO of Bitcoin Well. So I've got my buy set up on Bitcoin Well, and each week they send $54 worth of Satoshis directly to my account. And I'm happy to tell you that 2 or 3 weeks ago, my Bitcoin buy came in at $113,000. Because since they charge, I think, 1.2% spread, it means that when Bitcoin was back to an all-time high, they added 1.2%, and I bought it for that price.
Okay.
Because I'm going to be buying the all-time high forever.
Yeah.
I'm going to be buying and I'm going to love my life.
Yeah.
I'm going to love my life. So I've stacked my sats. I think this week maybe 50,000 came over, maybe even 48,000. Let's see. Richard is on Cash App, which number 60 Simple Steve told us is actually a sleeper hit for OG Bitcoiners because Cash App is apparently run and owned by OG Bitcoiners. And I think Jack Dorsey is the one that owns Cash App.
Is that right?
I think so. And he's a Bitcoiner, even though he went through a brief period of madness where he wanted to call sats Bitcoin. So Richard says Cash App is cheaper than Strike. It's cheaper than Coinbase. It's cheaper than Kraken. Interesting. Okay. And then Richard, do you let it pile up on Cash App until it's like at 1 million sats or something, and then you pull it into self-custody? Do you take it directly into custody from Cash App? How does that work? Number 44, Evan says he started dollar cost averaging $10 a week, and he'll dry powder if the price drops. BTC Moon Guy, see you later, brother. Listen to the rest of it. Maybe we'll drop your name during the meme review. Thanks for supporting us, my guy. We'll see you next week for Who Wants to Be a Satillionaire.
Yeah.
Come right at the beginning, Moon Guy, and you can take your shot. I think we're going to do 9,999 Well, I tell you, because in Who Wants to Be a Satillionaire, like,
Yeah.
so we need to do
You can either take the money, or you can parlay into the next round.
So here's what we should do. First week, easy trivia question. The winner gets 9 sats. Next week, a little bit harder. That guy gets his shot, and if he gets it right, it's 99 sats. Then 999. How many weeks would it take us to get to about a satillionaire? 9, 99, 999. Oh, I can just count it up.
10.
10. Right? A million sats? No, 999, 999.
No.
Yeah. Well, it would take 9 weeks.
9 weeks.
Yeah, because we could get to 999,999, and we could just call it a million at that point. So every 2 months, somebody would get a chance to win a million sats if they could make it all the way, though. The question is, if they get it wrong, do you reset the game or do you give someone an opportunity to steal? I think if you reset the game, then you don't always, you're not giving out a million sats every 2 months. Like the person who gets it right the first week, he goes on to the next week. He goes on to the next, gets it wrong, now it's free for everyone. And like you're competing.
We got to sit down with a big old sheet of paper.
Yeah.
And map this out.
Yeah.
Because we could make it super fun.
Dude.
Really engaging.
Yes.
And I like the idea of like giving out a million sats every so often.
Yes, I do too.
I do
too. Yeah.
Like could be stolen. What about phone a friend? What about lifelines?
Oh, dude. All right. First of all, Senor Gringo Poppy, what's going on, brother? I already called out your name. I don't even think you were here yet, dude. But I'm glad to see you're here. I want to hear from all of my hardcore satillionaires in the chat right now because I see you three. Do you guys like the idea of Who Wants to Be a Satillionaire? A weekly game.
As a segment to kick off the show.
Yeah, you answer trivia questions about the show and about Bitcoin.
Ooh. Right?
To try to work your way up to the, satillionaire question, right? To get to your chance. So let us know what you think. So Evan earlier, he was saying he dry powders when the price drops. So it looks like he buys $10 a week and lets his fiat stack up and then smashes it when it drops. What do you think about that strategy?
That's the best of both worlds.
It is the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
I think you're stacking no matter what, but then you're gobbling up cheaper sats when it's available.
Yeah.
So I like that.
Hey,
let's see.
What do you think about the American Express collab with Coinbase?
Whoa.
Have you seen that?
Yeah, because you sent it to me.
Okay. So
so right now my credit card is the Disney Chase Visa.
Okay.
And the reason why is because
you get Disney points, and they're valuable to you, right?
I mean, basically, you get 2% back on everything, and then you drive it into a gift card to swipe at the parks when you're there. And typically, we can get like 1 or 2 park tickets in exchange for that. So it kind of defrays some of the cost. It also gives us a discount on merchandise when Kitty's like, buy me more, when she goes into like full Varuk assault mode.
Yeah.
But even more importantly, there are certain characters that you can only see if you have the credit card.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, oh, look, there's like a super chase character like Max Goof. And they're like, and everybody's like, they're lining up. They're like, yeah, well, do you have the Disney Chase Visa? And they're like, no. And I'm like, get out of the way. Dude, you want to talk about the ego boot? My ego, when I go to Disney, I'm Mr. Pelto. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But actually, I'm just like a big kid. And like I played hide and seek with Peter Pan. Like, let's roll.
Yeah.
But 2% cash back, like, sucks. It's not good. Jeffrey Bezos will give you like 5% on Amazon.
Yeah.
And I think, did the Coinbase
4%.
4%, right?
In Bitcoin.
In Bitcoin, right? So let's talk about that for a second. And I want you all in the chat to weigh in on this. Is it better to get a credit card with the best possible rewards in fiat and then drive them into Bitcoin? Or do you just grab one of these new credit cards that just delivers the sats directly to you?
It depends on what your goals are. I mean, if you're trying to maximize your ability to stack sats, then yeah, you just go out there and get the credit card with the highest cashback rewards.
Yep.
But then you've got to maintain that.
Yes.
If you're just looking for an easy thing that you don't have to think about and you're never going to miss, like, oh, I got to draw that down and put it over here. Like, you're going to miss that sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, how do you value your time? You know, is a variable in that equation too, I think.
For me, if I had to go through all the rigmarole of taking 5% fiat reward, converting it into Bitcoin, and another credit card comes along and says, well, we'll just give you 4% directly. I mean, technically, you know, logically, theologically, whatever, you should take the 5% and then do the extra work. But I think I would just take the 4% and
it's
just
a convenience
roll.
fee.
Yeah.
It's a 1% convenience fee, basically. What does Gemini give you in sats back, Senor Gringo Papi? It sounds like, I mean, he obviously uses the Gemini card. I think it's only like 1 or maybe even less than 1. I thought I remember it's like 0.5.
No way.
Is it
no
more?
Way.
Is it 2?
I don't know. Senor, how many what is that reward on the Gemini? Because when we were in Las Vegas, we saw huge orange ads everywhere for Gemini's credit card.
Well, and they had the 2 huge Cybertrucks.
Yeah.
That I stuck this thing all over.
peeing in the mempool. Now he's saying grocery store 4%.
Okay.
That's pretty juicy.
Okay, yeah.
That's pretty juicy. Was the Coinbase one 4% every? But here's the thing. Is Coinbase delivering you them sats on Coinbase?
No, yeah, on Coinbase.
They're like, oh, we'll give you 4% in our coffers.
Yeah, well,
and we're absolutely good for it. Right?
What about Gemini?
Yeah,
can you direct custody that Bitcoin?
Yeah, does Gemini send that directly to your own wallet, Senor, or is it held with Gemini until you decide that you're ready to withdraw it? And Senor, by the way, he buys $100 a week and he just forgets about it.
Good.
That's juicy, dude. Honestly, I'm hoping for number 99, Kristen. Number 1, I have even more evidence now that the like white male dominated culture triggers her. And one of the beefiest angles for us is like female empowerment, dude.
Totally.
We can just rip on that. But what I'm hoping to do all the mathematics on our budget, right? And how much we save, what we have in our nest egg for the college fund, all this stuff, right? Basically, I want to see if I can vacuum up every single last dollar that we have available and look at our monthly budget and our run rate so that I can come correct to the table and say, listen, hun, right now we're buying $54 worth of Bitcoin a week.
Mm-hmm.
And my goal is going to be to say, I've done the math and believe we can comfortably double that, right? So Senor's at $100 a week, right? Can I get from 54 to 108 and basically double my weekly DCA? Because I know I've been saying I want to get her to let me smash, but I don't smash. I DCA. So I've been thinking I should like, what is the number that I can ratchet it up to safely and try to go for that?
Mm-hmm.
So 1 to 2% on normal purchases, 4% on the grocery. But Senor, do they custody that themselves? Okay, Evan says you have to be a Coinbase One member, which is $30 monthly, I think, and then it's 2 to 4%.
I think he's talking about the
Coinbase
American
credit card.
Express.
Yeah. So I mean, so then you're paying
$30 a month,
$360 a year. I don't know about that. But if you're a guy that's trading on Coinbase and you already have that subscription, maybe it makes sense to you. I just need a credit card that I can swipe, maybe like the Gemini one. Richard says his wife will never go for the rewards card. He'll do a travel miles card. Okay.
Good for you.
Yeah, and then stewardesses will hand you handwritten thank you notes when you roll on the plane once you get enough miles.
Well, you know what though? Down in this is a little off topic, but down in Puerto Rico, there's no capital gains tax. No capital gains tax.
Wow.
So, ideal spot for Bitcoiners or anyone in finance who's buying and selling assets over, any period of time, really. Short-term, long-term capital gains, none.
Wow. No capital gains. But Puerto Rico, that's like part of the United States, right?
Yeah.
Dude. Satchats is about to be coming to you live from Puerto Rico.
Yeah, dude. I'm thinking about buying a little plot down there.
Yeah. Just a post office box. Be like, yeah, we're down there. Yeah, we're incorporated down there. Yeah, all our money's down there.
Can't do that.
So shout out to number 49, Daniel, our Danish friend over at Sovereign.io. We tried these little wafers. What are these called?
Wassa.
Wassa, Bitcoin-y.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, I grew up eating all that stuff in Denmark. All right, Senor says it's a U.S. territory. Okay. And he's recommending the Gemini one 4 years now? I just started hearing about the Gemini credit card this year. It's been around for 4 years. So I think what I'm going to do is just get a second credit card. And I'm going to keep the Disney one for access at the parks and discounts. And then just drive everything onto the Gemini credit card so that I can be getting sats. Because I'm obsessed with just getting, I'm like Bitcoin. I'm like Bitcoin. I'm like Lion.
Mm-hmm.
I just want it wherever I can get it, you know?
Yeah.
All right. So I got another story for you all, and then we're going to move into our next segment, which is updates, okay? And we already kind of covered our Who Wants to Be a Satillionaire update, so we got another one for you.
Okay.
Jumping the gun here. All right, so let me set that down since I'm the one chatting. All right, so Jeremy, come to the guest camera real quick so I can hold this up for everybody to see. I'm reading. My wife got me this book, okay, and I'm gonna hold it there until I can see it on YouTube myself. But she loves the library. She's a little librarian. She's the bell to my beast. So it's called The Cult of We, okay, and it's about WeWork.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember like WeWork was like super huge and incredible, and then like they got absolutely exploded?
Yeah, Adam Newman, he's out there raising more money right now.
Oh, dude, and actually the book talks about how he's like basically addicted to raising money.
Yeah.
So I was reading The Cult of We about WeWork, and here's what it said in 2015, okay? Employees at venture capital funded HR software companies like Zenefits would line up for lunch at VC-backed salad purveyors like Sweetgreen and stop for coffee at VC-backed coffee shops like Phil's, wearing VC-backed wool sneakers like Allbirds. They'd get rides for well below their costs from unprofitable ride-hail companies like Uber, or park their cars below cost with unprofitable on-demand valets like Lux. They'd purchase homes through unprofitable startup brokerages like Compass, and store belongings with unprofitable self-storage companies like Clutter.
Yeah.
Discounts abounded. A massive wealth transfer was going on from venture capital funds spilling over with money to consumers who got below cost products. So the book is basically laying out the world of venture capital in the 2010s,
Mm-hmm.
when this idea that profits were not important and it was about rapid growth. You just grow until you have enough market share to then become profitable. So he points out in his book that we went through this like golden period of getting ultra low cost stuff from companies backed by venture funds. And what I really liked was that phrase, a massive wealth transfer, right? And this is important because some people are wary of Bitcoin, that it's one of these bubbles, you know, like a venture capital bubble or a .com bubble or a real estate bubble. It ain't a bubble.
Nah.
Okay, it's bubble shaped, but that's because it's a geodesic dome, homie, and it only gets stronger as it goes, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I also like that wealth transfer because Bitcoin is a wealth transfer from those who do not have Bitcoin to those who do have Bitcoin.
Yes.
And wealth transfers can be incredible. They can be incredibly devastating.
Right. I think Bitcoin is maybe the only wholly positive wealth transfer ever. I mean, generally, almost always, it's like wealth transfer goes from the many to the few. It always goes up. It always goes up. Even when it feels like, oh, I got a stimulus check, wealth transfer. That's not wealth transfer. That's devaluing the dollars that you have. I mean, it's really like a net neutral stimulus.
I think it also goes from the outdated to the modern as well. Like when you read the Bitcoin Standard, And you hear about the Irishman who just used dynamite to blow up enough limestone to go pay the islanders in limestone for absolutely every last coconut they had.
Mm-hmm.
They were using an older form of money, and he was just like, bam, here you go. You know what I mean? And with Bitcoin, I've heard talk about how it's like a wealth transfer to the global south, because in Argentina and Chile, Africa, other places, if they're starting to learn about Bitcoin and they're starting to stack sats, then all of us in the global north that are using fiat are just transferring our wealth down to those who are stacking sats.
That's such a fascinating theory.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we were talking about it, and you may have made the point, like, the people in the global north have had to. That's where all the industrialization has happened, because they don't have bountiful like resources that they can just survive off of all year. They have to plant seeds and growth, and then they reap what they sow, right?
Yeah, like the weather over time almost drove them to be like ants. And in the tropics, you can afford to be a grasshopper.
Yeah,
because things are just growing on trees down there
all the time, all year round.
Yeah, so it was really interesting for me to read about a wealth transfer from venture capital funds to individual consumers, because they were just basically subsidizing these products. And then to think about Bitcoin as a wealth transfer, from those who know about it to those, from those who don't know about it to those who do, right? Because we are moving to a place where Bitcoin is going to be Bitcoin no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to become more useful over time as people, it's already incredibly useful. It's a matter of adoption. But also, it's almost like when the rich basically duck into an asset, and the asset just goes up in value as the fiat, gets printed. Bitcoin, same way.
Yeah.
So anyways, I thought that was kind of an interesting little piece of that kind of massive wealth transfer. I'm really interested in massive wealth transfers. And I'm really hoping that a massive amount of wealth is transferring to me because of my weekly Bitcoin buy.
I'm really happy, actually, to see this change in venture, because venture capital was born out of like tech companies, the internet, the age of the internet, tech companies who have they develop a product one time and then they just sell it forever, basically, and they make little updates to versions and things. Profit margins are 80-90%, but then when you try to apply that to other industries like shoes and food, or taxi cab, like that model doesn't work anymore.
So interestingly enough, I learned in this book that venture capital actually started like very close after World War II, because the traditional banking and investment system did not appreciate risk. And these venture capitalists felt like that would make America fall behind. If they didn't take the risk to innovate and stay out ahead, they would fall behind. So it's really fascinating, by the way, to think about what the world would be like if we didn't have people who were willing to take a risk on some form of technology or service that takes several years to create.
Mm-hmm.
I look at venture capitalists, or I used to, as like crazy money sharks that want to come in, turbocharge your company for a quick profit, and then like destroy it and sell it off for parts. But actually, these like post-World War II venture capitalists were low time preference people who were like, that's a solid idea, but no bank would ever fund it because there's not a way to be profitable right away.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can just get to the mountaintop, you will take over the world.
Right.
And they are, the book talked about venture capitalism being responsible for some crazy things that I didn't know about and that I take for granted and that I can't recall right now, but it's an interesting book.
Great perspective.
So let's move to our segment called Updates. Those were our stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lion is stacking sats. He's doing chores around Uki's house. He's straight trading his teeth in. My boy's trading his teeth in for Bitcoin, y'all.
Proof of work.
Bless this child, dude.
I mined this. I grew this and I mined it.
And he actually was counting the number of baby teeth left in his head to try to determine how many more sats he can get. He's like, dude, I got at least 12,000 more sats in my mouth. Oh my God, dude. What a Chad.
Yeah.
I love my son, except for when he drives me crazy. All right. So, updates. All right. We already went over who wants to be a satillionaire. I didn't get any comments around whether they like that or not, though. So hopefully they do. But let us know if you do. I think we want to try that out.
100%.
Let's talk about the documentary. Now, we still don't know if we can say the title because Reggie and Number 40 think that the film festivals might not be appreciative of that or something. But we got to get down to the bottom of that by next week, because if it's like the subscription thing where it's like, no, we just didn't look deeply enough, we need to be able to lay that out so people know the title of the documentary and can get ready for it. So we can't say the title, but we can talk about it. I spent 3 hours yesterday in the creek behind my house talking about Bitcoin, talking about satchats, talking about this like rigged system that we're in, fiat, why we started the show, everything. And I think we've got some good footage. And I'm really excited for this documentary because I personally want I want a pre-coiner to be able to watch this documentary and come out the other side feeling like they understand Bitcoin a little bit more. And you want them to know, you want them to get, used to the business aspect as well. Maybe you can talk about that for a second.
Well,
what are you trying to get out of the documentary?
Well, I want more publicity and awareness for satchats. First and foremost. I think that we can accomplish that by giving viewers a behind-the-scenes look at what it's like to build this business. There's a lot of emotional, content that we could be capturing and filming. And I think that resonates with people. I think the story of like going from nothing, an idea, and building it into something is really engaging. And we've seen that through like how it's made, Shark Tank. I don't know.
Welcome to Wrexham.
Welcome to Wrexham.
Yeah. Have you watched Welcome to Wrexham?
About the football? No.
I think you absolutely would love it.
Yeah.
Watching Ryan Reynolds, who's worth like $400 million, and Rob McElhenney, who's worth like $50 million, pool their money together to like restore this football team to grace, and as a result, the whole town is incredible.
Yeah.
So we want the documentary to teach everyone about Bitcoin. We want to bring you backstage and show you how we're building our business, because SatChats is built like Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And everything is recorded publicly on the blockchain, right?
Yep.
But I also want a third thing. And I was talking to Anna Bevan about this, and I'm going to be talking to Reggie about it after the live show. Welcome to Wrexham not only teaches you how the English Premier League works, right? This is what Bitcoin is. Not only builds the business, and there's this amazing sequence where they're trying to determine whether to spend $250,000 on merchandise that can only be sold if they get promoted that year. It's a $250,000 bet. If their team doesn't get promoted, they can't even sell this merchandise.
Right.
If they do get promoted, gangbusters.
Yeah.
Fascinating moment. All right. New block. All right. New block. New block alert. What's the fresh block here, dude? I just saw it flash. All right. 901090.
Yeah.
Who's ready for block height 1 million?
Oh, it's coming.
Who's ready for block height 1 million? And when is block height 1 million? I think it's like 2 years from now.
Okay.
But I want a third thing, Chris. I want people. So when you watch Welcome to Wrexham, they also like show you the dad who's going through a divorce and using the football games to still spend time with his kids. They show you the handicapped lady who's in charge of making sure everyone with handicaps can get into the stadium and watch the game, right? They show you the guy who owns the bar that's been attached to the football stadium for 200 years.
Yep.
And
it's like in our case, the real estate professional, or the guy who owns a pressure washing company.
Yeah.
Or, any number of the guests that come from all walks of life that have been on SatChat so far.
Yeah, so our documentary is also going to follow some of the people that have come on the show. So you can see what Bitcoin does for them. And I think we're going to have that, right? So I want people to like get to know people on our show, but most importantly, I want them to finish a documentary and be like, I'm ready. Pull up YouTube. I want to watch an episode of Satchats.
Yeah.
Because when I watch Welcome to Wrexham, when they have all those things, here's how the football league works, here's how we're building the business, here's these people of interest. They also have massive on-field drama where they go down a goal. They must win this game or there's no way they can get promoted. And you when you're done watching Welcome to Wrexham, at least for me, I want to buy a plane ticket, go to Wrexham, buy a ticket to the game, go to the game, and buy merchandise. Put the scarf around my neck. Like, I want to participate.
Yeah.
And for me, you know, Anna Bevan was saying, well, we're going to teach people about Bitcoin and we're going to show them the business. I was like, that's not enough.
Yeah.
They need to finish the documentary and be like, I need to go watch an episode of Satchats.
Yeah.
And I need to figure out how to buy Bitcoin right now.
Yeah.
Right? So the documentary we're trying to take to film festivals next spring.
Fall.
Next fall. Okay. But it has to be done this fall for next fall? I thought we were like trying to do it by this fall for next spring. And then maybe you release it for people to watch the following fall. Anyways, it's going to be a while.
This fall is when the South by Southwest is.
Okay. All right. So, hey, sorry to hear about your good friend, Senor. Chris and I know a number of people who have fallen to said progressive disease. So we're at 9 minutes out, Chris. Let's rip into this meme review, okay? Senor is here so he can vouch for me. I'd like to dedicate this Friday meme review to our Lord Opti over at Simply Bitcoin.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we are Knights of Opti. Senor and I believe, are both Knights of Opti. So we're going to carry the Friday meme review standard.
Have we gotten that blessing yet?
No, but I'm all about forgiveness, not permission, right? Permissionless. So Reggie, who is our filmmaker, says all three of those things will be in the doc. I guess we don't need a conversation after this, Reg. But no, I you know how I like to go long form, and I like to know that I've been heard in every single detail. So we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Because, by the way, Darkon also gets you to a point where you love the characters and you want to live action roleplay. Just saying.
Darkon.
So, Abels, let's move into the Friday meme review. I don't know in what order Jeremy has arranged them, so
Doesn't
just
matter.
throw them up on the screen,
And we'll just say
and
next.
we will chat about them.
We'll say next.
So we'll do the meme review, and then we will let you all know what episodes are coming up this weekend and on Monday, and then we'll be off to have lunch with our wives. Okay, so this meme, this isn't necessarily a meme, but I found this online.
Mm-hmm.
We did a short stack where I attempted to decipher why Satoshi chose 21 million. Chris absolutely shredded it like it was Swiss cheese. And we absolutely have no idea why he chose 21 million. But Chris also wanted to know, well, hey, why did they start with 50 Bitcoin, right? Why is it 10 minutes a pop, right?
Right.
So I went searching for the answers.
Great.
And here on Reddit is a post from 2 years ago. Why did Satoshi decide to reward 50 Bitcoin for the first block? Why not 10 or 100? And then why divide it by 2 after 4 years, right? How about dividing it by 5 or 8 or 10, right? So he's asking everybody. The top comment is from this guy who says, let me call him real quick. I'll get back to you.
So we just don't know.
I loved that comment, dude,
Yeah.
because guess what? Satoshi's not here. Hey, we have no idea. We have no idea. And I love that this guy's like, yeah, let me just dial up Satoshi and we'll ask him. No, man. Satoshi is not here, right? So we have no idea, right? That one made me laugh out loud. So I thought I would include it here. What do we got next here, Abels? Because we got a couple that I've been putting in there. Chris shot me a ton. Chris shot me a ton of real memes that we're going to run through next week because he has access. Okay, this one is a little bit thirsty here, maybe a little inappropriate for a family-friendly show, but if you look closely here, this is a lady who is asleep. This lady is asleep on her live YouTube channel, and there's 565 people watching her show.
Do you think she's really sleeping?
I watched it for like a minute, and she was completely still. right? But other like lights and like water sounds were happening.
She must do that.
So I said to myself, you know, right now we have 12 people watching. We just jumped up to 13 people watching. If a lady whose entire channel is just to be asleep can get 565 people watching, all we got to do, Satillionaires, is just keep going, okay? We'll just keep having our live show every Friday, and eventually we will have more people watching live than some lady who's asleep. Now, this next one, put that back up on the screen, Abels. This one got me laughing. This one got my son laughing this morning, okay? I saw this on Noster by this guy, Carl Minger. Here's the headline. Indian flight attendant gets busted trying to smuggle nearly a kilogram of gold in her booty.
Jeez.
Oh, can you imagine having 2.2 pounds of gold in your booty?
Must have been the biscuits.
Dude, it must have been those biscuits. Yeah, Pahlavi's biscuits. 2.2 pounds of Pahlavi's biscuits. And Carl Minger says Bitcoin fixes this. By the way, a kilo of gold right now is worth about $109,000. So she was basically smuggling 1 Bitcoin worth of gold in her booty. But number one, not only is that incredibly uncomfortable, let's see here. Richard's saying, bro, did you not get all the memes and graphics I made? I emailed them to you guys. Bro! OMG, who's monitoring our inbox? Oh my gosh.
Jeez.
Well, Richard, we are absolutely like starting to put segments into place. And this is the first week where we're even calling them segments. So we'll get all your memes and graphics loaded up for next Friday. We'll get Chris's and we'll run through them because I can't even wait to see what Richard has made for us. Man, that makes me sad. But you know what?
Yeah,
I'm going to be grateful.
Dude, there's always next week.
I'm going to be grateful that they're there, and I'm going to lower my time preference for being able to see them, and we'll see them next week. But by the way, she could have sent 1 Bitcoin worth of value on the Bitcoin network with the click of a button or the tap of a smartphone.
Don't need to put anything in your butt.
You don't need to put any pounds in your booty.
Nope.
And by the way, also, it's not okay to move that much gold from one place to another. Why? Why? Like, you know, you're only allowed to take like $10,000 or something on a plane. I'm sure it's like all like money laundering, counterfeit,
No, it's
like
tax.
all that stuff.
It's tax. It's like,
Dude.
oh, you're going to bring that much money into our country?
Yeah.
We need a piece of that.
Yeah, dude.
You're going to take that much money out of our country? We need a piece of that.
Frankly, if she wants to put 2.2 pounds worth of gold in her booty, she should be allowed to do that.
She should get an award. I mean,
Lion was imagining like a gold bar this big. He's like, there's not even any room in there. I'm like, no, I think there's more room than you think, dude. But incredible. That whole situation is messed up. Do we have anything else, Abels? And look, my guy Jay, like that. So that's it. All right, so that's all we have for this week. But I thought he loaded up 2 more. Okay, all right. So we're at the top of the hour, anyways. So Richard, we will get all your memes and graphics loaded up for next week.
yeah.
This would be a great opportunity for the Discord too, to like, if we can get Ricardo, you know, moderating that Discord, then, you know, as memes come in, we can review them as well. But you know, we're making progress on this show, not perfection. Also, I think it was Senor Gringo Poppy. His idea for this was not Polaroid data, Pearl-aroid data, right? Combining Polaroid with Pearl for the Pearl Collective, Pearl-aroid, and then adding ETA because obviously he's got kind of a Spanish flair to everything he does in life. All right, so we're going to check the email attachments. Okay. So that was the Friday meme review, and let's go over the shows for this weekend and into next week. Saturday, you're not going to want to miss that. It's a short stack of us reading all the comments from people who think we're idiots.
That's a good one.
So funny to hear what some of them have to say. Sunday, our short stack is going to be called What's a Hash Rate? Right? What is the hash rate? And then on Monday, we've got a rehash that's going over episodes 71, 72, and 73. Next week is going to. I could tell from Gringo in your name, Senor Gringo, that you were white AF, dude. But props for holding down the Latina in your life.
Yes.
Right. That takes a lot of skill there.
Totally.
So next week's going to be heavy on the rehash because Chris is a jet set fellow. He was in Puerto Rico, then he's going to España.
New York next week.
Nueva York. Okay,
Nueva York.
Nueva York. All right. So we had to churn through a bunch of rehashes in advance to be able to pay, daddy YouTube each day. So if you like rehashes, you like hanging out with us while we just kind of kick back and talk about what we've already done, please enjoy those. Otherwise, just hang on, okay? We will be serving up some fresh conversations with pre-coiners and Bitcoiners next week. All right? So this has been another episode of Sat Chats Live. Don't forget to smash the subscribe button for your chance at 10 million sats when we reach 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. You can also sign up to come on the show. Senor Gringo Papi has signed up to be the 3rd Satillionaire to come on the show. Who's going to be the 4th Satillionaire to come on the show? That's what I want to know. And you should share this with family and friends, all that kind of good stuff. All right. Also, we're on the road to number 99 Kristen. That's going to be mid-July. We're pumped about that one.
Yes.
So remember, Sat Chats Live is for educational purposes and should not be construed as financial advice. We'll see you on the next one. It's time to go have lunch with our wives.
Let's go.